This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the DevOps training. I think this is the first session, not think, this is the first session, right? So yeah, so like I think most of you were there on yesterday's session. So I think a couple of maybe one or two people who joined today. So just to give you the context, basically, so we talked about what are the different tools actually which we are going to talk about in the syllabus, right? And if you have seen that. The Linux is the very first starting one, right? So we're going to start learning Linux because until now, so probably you might be dealing with your local desktop operating system. So now from now on, you need to deal with a new operating system, which is a server level operating system, so which is a Linux operating system. And it's a very simple one. Okay, I'm telling you, so if you really start feeling Linux, and I definitely bet that you will get to an conclusion that you're doing so you're doing the things in a Windows in a very hard way. Okay, so but Linux is much flexible and user friendly operating system. I mean, I'm user friendly in the sense professional friendly. Okay, so might be a beginner, Windows looks like is a good one, but yeah, for a professional guy, so I mean, Linux looks always as a best option. Okay, so you will definitely feel that in some day, definitely, no doubt in that. So, but whatever it is, so Linux is the one which we are going to start with, right? Yeah. So now, when it comes to the Linux, basically, so there's a question that if you open Wikipedia, you will see 100 Linuxes. Okay, so generally, right? So there's a big line, also big lines even on the Wikipedia shows that so which Linuxes we have. Okay, so if you just look Linux distributions, Wikipedia, if I take. Okay, I think you'll be getting a very big list graph. See this? So it's too many, right? So it's too many Linuxes. It's all different streams even, right? Okay, so too many, hundreds of Linux, distributions are available. But out of them, so we don't really so bother about everything basically out there, because we are actually going to work with enterprise systems. So when it comes to enterprise, okay, so we are going to talk about the major three vendors actually which are available. So either it is Red Hat or the Debian, which is Ubuntu, or you have SUSE, okay, Slackware, yeah, I think Slackware. So these are the three companies which you have basically, and out of that, no doubt in that. So Red Hat is one of the widely used ones. So you try to search in internet as well, and probably so with I think some people from your experience would be definitely using Red Hat Linux as the major used as an enterprise operating system, right? So Ubuntu is also there, but again, it all depends upon the area of interest again, right? Let's say Red Hat is more used for the critical systems, and Ubuntu and all is more preferred. Ubuntu is also widely used in some areas like web browsers. If you take web browsers, Ubuntu is the leading one basically. A lot of users use Ubuntu for web hosting. Okay, and SUSE and also SUSE is famous in certain areas, especially like SAP products and all. So they support majorly with, or they work majorly with SUSE and all. Okay, but whatever it is, so the different reasons, different businesses, we have different, so different vendors. Now here, okay, so Red Hat is the leader. Okay, no doubt in that. Red Hat is the leader, and even if you look into the so the industry topmost sold company, I think the second topmost sold company is Red Hat actually. I think $36 billion, 36 or 38 billion, it has been sold to IBM. IBM acquired Red Hat with the higher, or if you take the open source company, Red Hat is the first and foremost enterprise open source company. So which has been an enterprise company sold to that much level is the first company which is Red Hat. I think before to that, the IT acquisition, I think either it is EMC, I think. EMC by Dell was the highest one, the first one. The second one stands here is Red Hat. Okay, so yeah, so Red Hat is widely used one, no doubt in that. And when it comes to the Red Hat, Red Hat is nothing but RHEL, we call it as Red Hat Enterprise Linux. But the problem with the Red Hat is it's not free. Okay, so even though the distribution is open source, so that means they will give the code completely. They will give the code completely. Okay, but okay, so but it's not free. That's a quite tricky point actually. Okay, and but there is a clause actually in the open source, so states that so if the code can be open and it can be redistributed. Okay, so you have to take the code and you do the minimum modifications whatever the license tells, and you do those modifications and you are free to use it, and as well as you are free to redistribute it as well. Okay, so that's where certain organizations comes into picture now. Okay, so this is simple tricky clause in the open source. Now who redistributes it? CentOS is the one company who redistributes it. Oracle takes the Red Hat Linux and make a copy of that, and they provide it as Oracle Linux. And Amazon also does that. They take it as the source from Red Hat, and so they customize it and give it as Amazon Linux only in AWS, not to the outside, but at least only in AWS. So these are the three major distributors, okay, around Red Hat. There are even a couple of more, but yeah, so major are again these guys, and no doubt in that. So CentOS is one of the one which is again widely used in this area. Not Oracle, not Amazon. Amazon is limited to AWS again. Oracle is, so yeah, if you are using Oracle distribution, and it's also again Oracle Linux is free, but for support you have to pay to them. Okay, that's again. And but CentOS is a pure community-driven one. Okay, community driven. It's not like owned by some person, something like that. It's a community, it's an open source community, so who actually so supports. And even these guys are also contributors to Red Hat again. Okay, Red Hat is gaining in another way. So it's not like simply opening it the code. These guys actually contribute to the Red Hat. And even not only these guys, but any vendor who want to kind of work with the product of Red Hat, so they usually contribute to Red Hat as well. Like let's say you take a product called as Oracle. Okay, Oracle is actually supporting Red Hat Linux distribution also. Now they also need to work with Red Hat in order to make the things smoother for their application to work, right? So in such manner, so usually like you take any other product like IBM or any other so any other enterprise product you take it, so they usually work with the vendors as well. Okay, they contribute even. Okay, like you take Linux is open source like by Linus Torvalds, but he's a single guy. Okay, but yet so I think in today, at least till today's world, the biggest software project which is available in the open source, not even in the open source, even in the enterprise world, is Linux. Okay, so Linux is the biggest software community, okay, or the contributor community. It has more than at least 4 or 5 years back only, it was 12,000 plus developers actually who have contributed to Linux. Okay, so which is a very huge number. So 12,000 developers is not a small number. Basically, it's a huge on a single product, by the way. Again, okay. So, but whatever it is, let's come back to the point. So CentOS is going to be the a distributor basically here. So which actually going to take the copy of Red Hat and so customize a little bit and give it as a CentOS. And the core is always Red Hat, no doubt in that. It's always same. So that means you learn CentOS, you learn Oracle Linux, you learn Amazon Linux, you learn Red Hat Linux. 100% the commands are same, no difference. Okay, no difference at all. You see the logos and all, but that also you'll not see. Why? Because you use the command line. We use command line for dealing with the operating system. So that's how. Yeah. So CentOS is our choice basically. CentOS is our choice of Linux for our sessions completely. Okay. Why not Red Hat? Is simple reason. I don't want to pay. As simple as that, right? And so second thing is I have CentOS, which is as simple as that. So Red Hat one, it's as same as Red Hat one. I don't really want to pay to that. Okay, so that's my idea. Okay, and that's why that's why so I would be choosing CentOS operating system for our sessions completely. Okay, so yeah, and CentOS has the two major versions running currently, so which is 7 and 8 versions. So 7 is which is actively highly used one, and 8 is also there. But I would say 8 is not ready with, or all the softwares whatever we use, all the tools whatever we use are not completely compatible with 8 version. So I don't want to make a confusion that this tool use this version, this tool use this version, because it just causes confusion. Just to avoid that, I want to stick with one single version, so which is a 7 version, and CentOS 7 is one of the highly used one today. So yeah, we just want to go with that. Okay, and there'll be so from some version to version there'll be some changes. So based on some experience or some need, you will go and explore what all the new things generally. Okay, so but you have to start somewhere. So we'll just go with CentOS 7 operating system is our choice. Whatever is the latest one. So in CentOS 7, you'll have sub releases also, 7.0, 7.1, 7.2 like that. I think 7.8 or 7.8 is 7.7 is or 7.8 is the latest one, or whatever it is. Okay, we use CentOS 7 subversion. I mean, small versions doesn't really matter. So they'll not have much changes other than some bug fixes, some updates. Okay, some security updates will not have major things. So that's where, yeah. So CentOS 7 of any version is okay for us, and we usually choose the latest one. All right, so that's what so Linux wise, so which Linux we want to start with is CentOS 7. Okay, so that's our choice. Fine. Okay, where do I run this operating system? The next question, right? Where do I run this? Okay, now someone have something in mind, I have to install in my local system and do that. Definitely someone who are already of somewhere aware of some virtual machines. Okay, probably you think that so you can use some virtual machines in their local system. And some people who have some idea on the cloud, so probably you think that so I can go to the cloud and I can also run the things basically, right? And but I will not start with any of these particular choices. Local, I will never run anything on the local, because our local system is meant for running the local things. If I run my virtual machines inside my local desktop, it always exhausts the resources. It always exhausts my resources. Okay, it just it just eats your capacitors and makes your machine slow. Okay, so using the virtual machines inside your local system, you just exhaust the resources. So that's where your machine becomes slow, and it comes to end of the life very soon. Okay, and I don't want you to do that. Okay, local, nothing, I will never happen. It will, forget about that. Okay, but we can go to the cloud. Okay, so cloud is something we'll be doing, right? Syllabus also we have cloud. But again, I don't want to start with the cloud again. So so by the first day itself you see the cloud. So you will get little scary. Okay, what is this and all? I mean, cloud looks easy, but still, okay, so a lot of confusion. You cannot actually connect the dots in a proper way. So that's what my point here is, and that's where I want to choose a platforms like Katacoda. Okay, Katacoda is a platform so which provides some technical, some technical labs or labs on technical topics. Okay, so they provide CentOS lab basically, and I want to use that. That's it. They provide a CentOS lab. Okay, so it doesn't really matter where I run it, right? So you're just a beginner now, just learning the things, and for learning the basics, anywhere it doesn't really. So, and you get it on the browser, and it's quite simpler basically. Okay, you don't really need to bother about installations, configurations, connectivity. All these things are gone. So you're just a beginner. You start, your point is learn the Linux. Let's learn the Linux. Okay, doesn't bother about what all the things behind. Okay, so that's where I would like to. That's where I would like to start with. So Katacoda, and we're going to start with some Linux basics in Katacoda. Okay, so shall we proceed? And so a couple of things before actually starting into the actual things. Let's come to some kind of contract in the sense. Let's go with some best practices. What are the best practices I suggest here is, do not do not do the things in parallel while talking the session. Okay, don't do the things while I do on the session. So in the session, focus on what I'm doing. Really focus on what I'm doing. And logically, you should not see any disconnection between topic to topic or point to point. You should not see any disconnects. Okay. And if you see any disconnect, just interrupt me, and you're free to ask any questions. Like yesterday was a demo session. I was holding you to not ask the questions until the end. But here, from today and from now on, you are free to interrupt for any topic. Okay. So if I needs, if I want to continue the topic, I'll take your question a bit later in the sense in a minute or so, and I'll complete my point and I'll come back. But still, you are free to interrupt me for any points. Basically, if you have any query, just to stop interrupt me at that particular point only. So that's the first thing. And second thing is, do focus on only on the session. Do not practice do the thing. Okay, so do not actually practice while the session is going on, because you will miss the details, and end of the day you will never understand, and you'll never do the things. So two things will happen. So focus only on the session, understand it logically. So logically, whether my point to point is actually going through, you should not have a question, right? It's like a movie. Okay, so movie point to point, scene to scene, it should go, right? The same way, point to point, it should go through. So, and you should logically understand that. And once you are done with that, of course, in an hour or in an 1.5 hour, you will get a video on the YouTube. So you can go to the YouTube, and after opening the YouTube also, I would suggest, like, so go with one more watch. I would suggest generally, and that's your choice again. So you want to directly practice also is fine, but my suggestion is go for one more watch and take a notes. Then you write your notes basically. Okay, not even in the session also. During the session also, don't write any kind of notes. Just focus on the session, and watch for the video one more time, and so then make your own notes. Also make in parallel that what you need to do the things from this session. Just make your own notes available, and at any, so because through the video you will never get the notes or anything, right? So what are the topics and nothing, you'll get it. So you maintain your own notes is what you have to do. And yeah, so after the session, after watching it, after the session you watch the video, and after watching the video you go ahead and practice it, and you can play that video any number of times. You can rewind and you can forward, anything is okay. And so yeah, so, and if you have any queries, you'll be reaching over the Slack. Okay, so for a couple of days you will not really need Slack, because so the commands are going to be very straightforward, and so you execute them, you get it, kind of thing. So I don't really think that you need a Slack support, but still in a couple of days you'll start getting that as well. Okay, no doubt in that. All right, so I think so we will go with the next part, talking about Linux basics. Yeah, before do that, any questions before starting? Does anyone have any questions, confusions around things what I mentioned around the Linux? Hope I'm audible. At least make a practice of putting in chat, at least saying that yes or no, so that it's a remote session, right? So just to have some understanding. So at least practice something that yeah, so we're good to go or not. So, or if you have any questions, yeah, you can. I see almost so many goods to go. Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, if anything is there, just interrupt me. That's what I would suggest. All right. Yeah. Now let's go with the Katakota and start doing the things in Katakota. All right. Now let's go with the Katakota. So it's not a big, very, very critical one. It's very simple. You just go here, Katakota, and you can practice any of these particular topics, whatever it is given to you, small topics. Okay. And I also have my own course curriculum here. So yeah, I'm pinging this particular one in the chat. So I'm pinging that in the chat. And so every one of you can bookmark this one. So probably it's simpler only to remember even, but again, yeah, so that's my name basically. That's my account name, I would say. So yeah, and so here you have 3 topics, and these are the topics which we are going to take it today. Okay, not today, like one by one in topic. So I see a question in the chat, so asking, so CentOS you explained, so where it can be used. Okay, so that's what, right? So end of the day, so you go back to yesterday's demo session. Your demo session, what we were talking about. So your roles and responsibility is to release the application, okay, in a smoother manner. So release the application means where you are releasing is to the servers, right? So one second. Yeah, so to the servers we are going to release now, right? So, and while you're releasing to the servers, so yeah, you need to make it smoother, right? So that means servers. And also the another business point I mentioned is, so today everyone is actually going with today everyone is actually trying to go with is web-based applications, web apps, right? So that's where everyone is actually trying to go with web-based applications. Okay, and those particular web web-based applications, that means somewhere it has been hosted, right, in somewhere in the servers, and those servers are Linux boxes, and those Linux boxes are, most of the boxes are around you'll find out Red Hat distribution or Ubuntu distribution. Okay, these are the 2 widely used operating systems. So we are just choosing okay, we're just choosing Red Hat distribution, and it is CentOS operating system. Yeah. All right, and the next one, so which we'll be using here is, so I think hope every one of you copied that particular URL and kept it with you. And again, once again I am pinging in the chat. Okay, so yeah, so all right. Now there are 3 topics out there. So server creation in AWS, we'll take it later. Linux administration is the second topic. The first topic is Linux CLI syntaxes. Okay, so you can just click on start scenario. Okay, so you can just click on start scenario. Usually you can, I mean, this time at this point of time, so probably I can just need to log out once, and I'll just go for once again I'll do this Linux CLI syntaxes. If I just click on start scenario, usually it will pop up so to connect basically. You can just sign up with any of your accounts. So probably Google you have, you click on sign up with Google, automatically it just goes and authenticates into your Google, and it logs in. Okay, you know, to really don't worry about a sign up or something. It's a Google integrated already. All right, so just click on start scenario and you will get it. Now, you can ignore this particular one, first one. So to really do this all. So just click on start scenario is fine. And the advantage with the Katacoda is, on the left side you will find out documentation, on the right side you will find out the command prompt to execute the things. Okay, so that's the advantage basically of the Katacoda. All right, and yeah, so we're going to start with the commands. So run this command at the starting of the lab. So that means just if you want to run this, you just click on that, and automatically the command will be coming on the right side and it will be executing it. Okay, so that's what it's going to do. And yeah, and so here we are having yeah, so here we're going to execute some commands. All right, so and the commands looks like this. So probably the command prompt actually even tells you some information. So the command prompt, whatever you're seeing over here, it clearly telling you some information. So what is the information it is actually telling is what's the information it is actually telling you here is the username at the rate the system name. Okay, so the username at the rate system name. So if you just look into the prompt, So it is username and host name. So this is the username, this is the host name. Okay. In this diagram, in this screenshot, it is CentOS and the different IP address. And in our case, so here it is root is the user, and the CentOS is the CentOS-playground is the CentOS-playground is the system name. Basically, it's a CentOS playground. I just named that way. So name can be anything. So every system also will have a name basically. Okay, so systems will have name, and that name is called as host name. Okay, a technical word. So we can start even in your Windows also, you will have a system name. Your Mac OS also, you will have a system name. Okay, so system names will be there. All right. If you are Windows guy, if you go to the My PC and right click on properties, you'll find out the system name. During the installation, it clearly asks you what you want to keep the system name, right? So if you are using a company laptops, usually, so the system name is going to be your user account, so that, on the network level, they know that, so which guy is actually accessing which things. Okay, so on the network level also, they can monitor the thing because of the names, basically. All right. So google.com, it's a name. Okay, it's a name of some system basically. Okay, so facebook.com, it's a name of some system. If you assume that, so Facebook is running on single server or Google is running on a single server, so that name is actually pointing to that server. All right, but ideally, technically talking about, there will be a lot of servers, and how do you put the name on the front side, and how do you put the traffic to the so many machines, that anyhow you will see that as a part of session in after a couple of Linux basic session, or in the Linux administration, or probably post Linux administration, you will see that particular approach as well. Okay, how it works and things like that. Okay, so from the prompt, you are actually able to do certain things. Okay, actually, it's supposed to be something else. Actually, it has to be a hash, not the. I will correct this in the document. It should look like this. Yeah, it should look like a hash basically. And so the username and the system is fine, system name is fine, and also the prompt, actually the dollar symbol also denotes something, and hash symbol also denotes something actually in the system. Dollar is nothing but a normal user, and hash is nothing but a administrator. Okay, so who is the administrator? In Windows operating system, you'll have a default account which is an administrator. Okay, so the administrator account the administrator in Windows is administrator, right? So in Linux, so the admin account is nothing but called as a root user. A root user is the admin account. Okay, so here this guy will okay, have the utmost privileges. Utmost privilege. He can do anything in the system. All right. So that's why the root user is the super users, we call it as. So root user, ROOT, root is a user. All right. And apart from that, you execute some commands in the prompt and you get some output. So probably if you are aware of some Windows command prompt also, you execute a command and you get the output, right? So the same way here also, you are executing some command and you get the output. So that's the Linux. By seeing the command line itself, you understand something. What is the user logged in, and at the rate, what is the system name? Okay, and probably by the prompt you will understand whether you are a normal user or a root user also. So that's just a notation. That doesn't really mean that you put a hash, you become a root user. No, that's customizable, and that's only the user choice. But by default, any system comes up with these standards. Dollar means normal user, hash means root user. All right. So yeah, root is nothing but administrator. And the second thing in the Linux basics you need to understand is one more thing, so which is called as Linux operating system. Linux, a word, is not an operating system. Linux as a word is not an operating system. Okay, so how it has been evolved basically, so it has been evolved from the world of mainframe and then from Unix world. Okay, so this, and from there the Linux came in, right? So the first systems were mainframe. Okay, and after that Unix was introduced, and after that the Linux came into picture. So why Linux has been evolved actually, so since the Unix was already there, why? Because there's a simple reason. Okay, so Unix is costly. Unix is costly. You take my Mac OS. My Mac machine is a Unix box, and it hardly has some i5 processor and 16 GB of RAM. Okay, and if I go for i5 16 GB of RAM, so if I go with any vendor, like HP or Dell laptops, I can get it in so probably some $1,500 or even $1,200. I can easily get that particular product. Okay, with that capacity, whatever I'm running with this. But this Mac OS guy, okay, this Apple guy will charge me. I think this is almost close to $3,000. Okay, so 3,000 or probably 2,000 or 2,500. Definitely more than 2,000. Not even, yeah, close to $3,000. Easily it is costing close to $3,000. Now, why the cost is coming? Because of it's a Unix. Because it's a Unix. So they have the monopoly, right? So basically here, what's the monopoly? On their hardware, they can run only their software only. You cannot actually install Windows on my Mac OS. It doesn't make sense, and it will not run also. That hardware won't support. Okay, so that's the Unix basically. Unix means so they ship the operating system and the hardware by the same vendor. So since it is actually done by the same vendor, so they will have the high pricing, because since it is made, hardware and software is actually made by the same vendor. So the operating systems become super stable. Okay, the operating systems are super stable. Okay, so yeah, that's the reason. Okay, so it's all I mean, they'll just take that particular advantage, and so they will charge you high. They will put high charges on that, right? And at the end of the day, so I'm also happy. Why? Because the price whatever I'm keeping also, I will be so I will be getting the best. But let's say you go to the Unix server operating systems, this is a simple laptop. Okay, that's fine. I'm just comparing it. But if you go to the servers, there's a thousands of dollars comes as a difference. Okay, Unix versus Linux. Okay, and back in days, so I was just talking about the 1980 story. So the same problem. Unix was too costly, and the software institutions, like so the universities and all, were not able to so give the resources to the students, even though they are actually teaching the courses. And that's where there are a group of people actually who are opposing the Unix approach. And so they are actually, the first community was almost is GNU. Okay, so GNU is the guy actually, or the community basically. So the GNU guy is something like so GNU is not Unix. So they just NU stands for not Unix basically. Okay, so it's actually started in 1983. All right, so these guys were opposing Unix, and they were actually started some community and doing something. Okay, by the time, and in 1989, I think so, 1989, one of the software student, again Linus Torvalds, has also felt the same problem, and he cracked the code of so not the cracked in the sense, he made a code of which can break the layer of software and hardware. Okay, so what is the problem with the Unix? And software and hardware are tightly coupled together. Okay, but now so this some software, okay, whatever he written the code, okay, that is going to break the layer. Okay, so now this software can run any hardware, okay, and any software. Okay, so that's what he has done. Okay, and okay, and Linux has a simple word. It's not an operating system. It's only a piece of code which drives the hardware. It's a simple piece of code which drives the hardware. All right, so and so that is how okay, um, I mean, Linux is simply as a Linux word. It's not an operating system, and and this Linux operating system will be taken care by or will took by some vendors like Red Hat or Debian or something like that. So they take this particular Linux and they put some software on top of that, and they ship it as a Linux operating system. Then it becomes Linux operating system. Until you put the software, you cannot call it as an operating system, Linux one. So Linux is only a simple piece of code which drives the hardware. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, that's a minimal understanding you should be having as just an introduction to the Linux. Okay, and that's how you just give so uname as a command. Okay, you get you get it as a Linux. This is the Linux machine. And also you give uname -a. So this is GNU Linux, because Linus Torvalds has collaborated with GNU guys. Okay, so he also joined the community, and this Linux became a GNU Linux. Okay, and in the previous in the previous so these are all GNU Linux distributions only, and there are other distributions are also even there. Okay, so there are even other distributions are also Linux is also there. Okay, but yeah, but those are not maintained by Linus Torvalds, and but this is what majorly um, so the major Linux is GNU Linux. Okay, which is still holding by Linus Torvalds. He's still the single guy um, who actually releases the Linux versions. Okay, and the product is called as kernel. Okay, so if I just go with kernel.org. Okay, if you go for kernel.org.
Hi Raghu, some problem with your voice actually. I don't know. I don't know it's for me or for everyone. It's not so crisp and it's somewhat like echoing.
Can someone else confirm that you're also getting echo, or are you good?
I'm good. I'm good.
No, Raghu. For us, it's okay.
It is good at my end.
Yeah, thank you. So rejoin Srisam, I think so. Not Srisam, sorry, Sriman. Yeah, so this guy still releases the so the products, and everyone comes here and just takes this particular one, and they will okay, they will again okay, so put some software on top of that and release the operating system. Okay, all right, so this is a simple story just to give you some context around the Linux. Okay, which is really not a important thing for our technical course, but just some glimpse on how it happened and things like that. Okay, so apart from that, nothing much. Let's come to Katacoda, and yeah, and when you come to the command line of Linux, so you will be having every command is going to have some options basically. Okay, so a single command is going to have multiple options. So based on the options, the behavior will change. Okay, you use the same uname command. So previously it's giving some output. Okay, and uname, I just gave some output, something like -a, it giving all of a sudden some other thing, right? So which is also included, but still something else is happening or something else it is showing. Okay, so that means that option is actually going to change the behavior of the option is going to change the behavior of your command which is getting executed. Okay, so that is where the options will be there for every command. And so how the options looks like is you'll be having a command, or you'll be having a hyphen, a single character. So some commands shows you that, and so sometime you'll be having a command, and also you'll have hyphen and a single word also. So hyphen single word. So those are some commands will have this way, and there is even a hyphen and a single word also will be there. Some commands give these options, and all depends upon the command. Command is nothing but a software. Okay, command is nothing but a software. Like let's say you install Oracle software, so probably you will just get some SQL plus or something like that to connect to the Oracle, and that's a that's basically Oracle software. Like let's say if you install some software like something like, just to simplify, some Mongo database or MySQL database, so then the command will become MySQL. MySQL is a command, so to deal with the software, to deal with the database which is running there. Okay, so which is going to be having its own options. So it's a vendor specific options. Okay, but Linux natively you will be having these two options. Linux natively you will be having hyphen single character and hyphen single word. Linux native means some packages like uname is a Linux native command. It's not from some vendor basically. It came from the operating system itself. Linux native commands. Okay, so native commands use only these two options only. The third option is so today's world people are actually going with these options also. Majorly the programming languages will have such kind of options, but even some tools also having these particular options. Okay, but Linux native, you always have this. Okay, so that's the idea. And if you uname-a, it works, and uname-all also it works. Uname-a it works, uname-all also it works. Now there should be a very big question here. Okay, so how to remember these commands? So many commands are there, and even so many options also will be there for each and every command. Do we really need to remember everything? I don't think so. It's really not needed. Okay, it's really not needed. So based on the need, so today you have internet. Okay, you can always go to the internet and type the help of that particular command. You will get all the options, or you can just go for uname. So these sometimes some commands might give you option of the information from here itself on the command line itself. Uname ---- help, it is telling either use a -a or --all, you print all the information. Use -s or -- kernel name, you print the kernel name. Okay, you print the node name, you print the kernel release, kernel version, machine, processor type, hardware platform type, operating system what is having. Okay, so all this information is going to be given by all that information is going to be given by your command with --help option. Okay, so and also sometimes this command might not help you, or it might be bombarding with a lot of output. You can go to internet also. You can go to internet and type that, so uname command help, you get that same output basically. Okay, or you're looking for some other command, just give that command and help, you will get the help pages directly from the internet. And also some people, you'll get some web pages explaining the commands also. That's even some good, because if you're a beginner kind of thing, so it is even helpful for you to understand. So that's the idea basically. All right, okay, cool. So that's about the pretty basic introduction about so the command. But sometimes you will be having options, and also some commands will be having some inputs also. Some commands will have some options. Every time you need an option, but what is the requirement you want? Okay, so that particular one you have to put through as a command. Okay, so but while you're putting through, so sometimes you require options, sometimes you might really not require options. Okay, that's depends upon your requirement. Technically or purely it's your requirement. Requirement is what is actually going to tell us what to use, right? And so based on the requirement, the things changes. And here, and so these commands also have some inputs also. You have to give some inputs. All right, so like let's say ls boot command, ls is a command. Some command doesn't really matter. So ls is a command, and space, what are the argument you have here is an input. What is the argument you have out there is a input. Okay, all right. And so now ls-d/boot, so probably you're getting no such file or directory, because that might not be there. Okay, this is some customized operating system. Usually you'll find it out. But yeah, so here in this case I need to change this also. Okay, so I'll just change that option. So here some of the directory is also fine. Like let's say if I give /etc, just to show you something, /etc, it is giving you some output. If I don't give this output, if I don't give this option, so something else is going to happen. If I give -d, it is giving something. If I don't give -d, it is doing something, right? So that means -d option is doing something there, right? So that's where you always think through what is the command you want. What is the command you want, and based on that you execute the based on the requirement, you just so take the options, inputs, and you'll be executing the commands. But just keeping in mind, okay, so your command may or may not have options, may or may not have inputs. Some command options is mandatory, some commands options are optional. Some commands inputs are mandatory, some commands inputs are optional. Okay, that all depends upon the nature of the command. and with some practice you'll start understanding the things. So even if I say for another hour also, you will not be able to grab it, because unless until you put your hands on that, you will not really able to understand that. And over a period of time, you'll get a better understanding. Okay, so just a week or 2 weeks, you'll start understanding the things even in a simpler way. Okay, you will start get using to that. All right, and so that's the idea about basic one. Now the next thing, so the next thing is whenever you buy a laptop or something desktop, so basic thing what you do basically, you check the hardware, right? Whether the really hardware is the same or not, which is been so shown on the description, product description, it is same or not, you will minimum check, right? So okay, so the servers also, when you're actually maintain, or you're actually creating, or you're actually using the servers, it's your minimal bare responsibility that you check. So like let me put this way. I joined the organization, so recently, like let's say, and they asked me to troubleshoot a machine, and they give the IP address and the credentials, and I just logged into the system, but I don't know what is the system. There's no one to give me the KT also. Since I've been recruited as an engineer, they expect me something, to do basically, right? So now I cannot really go and so ask I cannot go on back and ask what is the vendor, who is the vendor, what is this operating system, what runs on top of this. You should not ask those questions. Once you get into the machine, now it's your responsibility to check those things. Okay, now like let's say, so I want to check the minimal information of that, like hardware and software information. So then how do you identify? So since this is also a Linux box, okay, I just want you to feel that particular machine, but you're not physically seeing the machine. Try to understand, you're not physically seeing the machine, but you can start feeling the machine. But how do you feel that is? So let's see here. Okay, so what is the vendor of the operating system? You can just click on this, you get some output, but don't bother about what this command is doing and things like that. Just click on that, the command will be executed here. Just bother about the output at this point of time. So what it is telling, so 7.6 is what you're having. So probably 7.7 or 7.8 is the latest one. We are actually 2 versions behind probably. Okay, so wiki.centos.org, in CentOS 7.8 is the latest version. .8 is the CentOS 7.8 is the latest version. So 6 is also there, but why I didn't talk about 6 is you see this 30th November 2020, next Monday it is going to come to end of life. So that means no more development will happen on that particular product, and that's where we want to use the stable one, so which is going to be 7 version. All right, now yeah. So now you're having some 7.6. So I got some understanding. Okay, this guy is running 7.7 version. Okay, now you're familiar with the operating system, like let's say, yeah. Now I want the CPU information. So now cat/proc/CPU info, and if I click on this, so you'll be getting a lot much output. You got actually really output. So it is actually telling the processor numbers. There are 11 processors. 11 in the sense, 0 to 11. There are 12 processors. There are 12 processors. Is it possible to have a 12 processor machine? Yes, of course. Your laptops and desktops will not support it, but your server operating system, server hardware will support this. Okay, now how the server looks like and where the servers reside, this is your minimal understanding. Okay, this terminology is really important. Okay, so now your servers will store in where? Data center. Data center is the place where all your servers will store. All right. Okay, now inside data center, how it looks like? Inside data center, it looks like this. Okay, nice, right? So it looks like a very nice. Okay, these are the servers, and you're seeing basically what, a kind of a racks, right? English word. Just understand that as a rack. Yes, of course, that's a rack. Okay, so it's like it's like just like your object rack. Okay, you keep your books, you keep your clothes. Okay, whatever you keep it in the rack, it's as simple as a rack. Okay, fine. Those are in the data center, you're going to have racks. All right, fine. And inside the racks, what you're going to have? Okay, inside the racks, you're going to have servers. Okay, and in the data center, what is the in the data center, what are the major components you will be looking? You'll be having, so one is servers, second one is data stores, that means storage devices, and the third one is network devices to connect all these things, and the fourth one is backup devices. Okay, these are the 4 devices only you will be finding out in the data center. Apart from that, you will all find cables, ACs, coolant systems, okay, things like that only. All right, and so yeah, that's how so that's how yeah, so your servers always resides in data center, and in the data center you're going to have racks, and in racks you're going to have servers. But generally, like server, how it looks like, your desktop looks like desktop towers looks like this, right? So your desktops looks like this, like generally your home site desktops, generally probably it looks like this. But actually, if you put this way, on the servers also, you have some towers. You take servers also comes in the same format. Okay, so something like this. But this is going to be a space consumption. This is going to be consuming the more space, and that's where this racks has been introduced. And always servers comes in racks as standard, and they are those called as rack servers. Servers are called as rack servers because it fits in rack. So see, this guy is actually fitting actually a rack server into the rack, but it's not actually a rack server, it's a blade server, because a single rack is having more machines. It's a blade server. That's okay. The same way, yeah, see, this guy is actually trying to put the server into the rack. It just fits there exactly, just fits there. Okay, fine. Now you know rack server also. Okay, you have some understanding on rack server also. You have some understanding on rack server. Fine. Now what next, basically? Okay, so you're having some understanding on rack as well. Now inside rack, how it looks like. Inside rack server, how does it look like? Let's go and take a look. Or like, let's say, I think desktop motherboard, you probably would have seen the desktop motherboard by some chance. I am hoping. So if you don't see also, it's not a problem, it's okay. But still probably, so motherboard in desktop motherboard in cabinet, I can show some images like this. So generally, so something like this it will be. Your motherboard will be sitting inside your in the box like this somewhere. Okay, it's a motherboard. Okay, so motherboard is the one, so the major one connects, right? So desktop motherboard, if I put in there, and if you look into the desktop motherboards, basically, so here you will have only one slot to insert one processor. Only one slot to insert one processor, because desktop operating systems and desktop hardware also doesn't support multi hardware, in the sense, like, let's say i series, like you take Intel i series is famous one, right? You cannot put 2 i3 processors, or you cannot put 1 i3 1 i5. It will not work. Okay, so that CPU is not made to collaborate with another CPU. Okay, that CPU is not actually made to collaborate with another CPU, so it will not work. Okay, so on the server side, okay, you cannot actually keep one. Why? Because servers run with high capacity, right? You take to the system, so you'll have bigger capacity. You have 128 GB of RAM, 56 GB of RAM, 1 terabytes of RAM. Okay, you'll find those machine hardwares. Now when you go for those particular machine hardwares, okay, so it cannot be a single one, right? If single one is a failure, everything is a failure. So that actually is not possible. So that's where what they do is usually so rack server motherboard. If you look into the rack server motherboard, how does it look like? The rack server's motherboards looks like this. So whichever it is fitting in the rack, right? Now can you see there are 2 CPU slots? That means you can keep 2 CPUs. That means you can keep 2 CPUs. So your rack servers is going to have or basically your server operating systems or server hardware is going to support you multiple this one. Okay, now this guy actually, come back to the point, this guy is actually having 16 processors, oh sorry, 12 processors. He's having 12 processors. So that means 12 slots are there? No. it's not 12 slots. Okay, so why? Okay, so why? Because in processors you're going to have subcores also. Cores you will be having. One single physical processor is going to have multiple cores. You have dual core, you have quad core, you have octa core. Okay, so you'll be having multiple cores. But this guy is telling you, so the output is telling you this is the processor, Intel Xeon processor. Okay, Xeon, this one. So if you look into the internet putting about this information, if you look into the Xeon processor, and each processor is having how many cores? 6 cores you are having. So that means there are 12 cores. So how many processors how many physical processors do you think? 2 processors, right? You just try to visualize that. Yes. Okay, so that's how you're actually getting the understanding. By seeing the output, you really no need to look in physically, you get some understanding as well. Okay, so that's about CPU. And the next one is memory. So the memory is actually telling that it is some 131 this KB, or else you can also use free to use another command, so free-yum. So it shows in a megabytes, or free-g, free-small g. So it shows you close to 128 GB of RAM. So this machine, whatever you got it as a lab, as a CentOS lab, this guy is giving you 128 GB of RAM, 128 GB of RAM basically. Okay, or this machine itself is 128 GB with 2 core, so not 2 core, 12 core with 2 physical processors. You got the understanding, right? Okay, and what is the major thing again in the hardware? In the hardware, the major thing is CPU, memory, and the hard disk, IO disk, right? In the disk side, what is the information you have it that you can get it from either you have disk-L. I think disk-L will not work here. You can also use LSBLK. So LSBLK is telling you there are 2 hard disks, SDA, SDB. So what is SDA? SATA disk A, SATA disk B. A and B is the alphabetical number they are following, but SD stands for SATA disk. What is SATA disk? SATA disk is nothing but serial disk. Okay, so I said SATA. Okay, so earlier we used to have PATA hard disk. I'm not sure people are aware of so PATA disks. Basically, back in days we used to have parallel ports. In servers we used to have hard disks and we used to connect with these parallel ports. Okay, these parallel cables, we used to connect the devices to the motherboard. But after that, so the serial world came into picture. So majorly with the USB, so the serial world actually starting, so taking more prominence, and because serial is more performer than parallel. Okay, so in the hard disk, in the hardware, so that's where so SATAs came into picture. Now it is all your things are SATA cables, okay, SATA disks and all. All right, so that's a SATA disk. It's telling SDA stands for SATA hard disk, and if it had been a normal PATA disk, so probably it would have been PDA and PDB. Okay, so that's the idea. So there are 2 disks, and each disk of what size? It's actually showing you the size also. Each disk of some 223 GB, 223 GB. That means that's close to 256 GB. That close to 256 GB. You will never get the whole usage of. You will never get the whole usage of the whole disk, right? Usually, so that is closing to that. That means it's actually some 256 GB. But answering correctly, this is not even the 256 GB. Okay, so it's actually the disk is actually some 512 GB hard disk. Okay, so that 512 GB hard disk has been cut into 2 pieces. Okay, this information is a little tricky. You will not understand this, but you don't bother about this. This 512 GB is actually been cut into 2 pieces, which is 256 and another is 256. Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem, but still, yeah. All right, so yeah, you got the information about the hard disk also. All right, and the next thing is so you will understand your machine is a 32-bit or 64-bit. Okay, uname-i can help you. Uname-i, if it is giving you either an output like i386 or i586 or i686, if you see only 86, so that means that's a 32-bit operating system. That's a 32-bit operating system. But whereas if you give x86_64, then that is a 64-bit operating system. That's a 64-bit operating system. So now you see this x86_64 and it's 64. Starting from CentOS 7, there is no 32-bit operating system. If it is CentOS 7, there is no point in checking whether it is 32-bit or 64-bit because it is 64-bit only. There is no 32 bits. Even your mobiles are now in 64 bits, right? So because 32-bit can support only 4 GB of RAM, but now mobiles are also coming up with 8 GB, so 12 GB of RAMs, right? So yeah, it's really not a 32-bit is no more much on the server side at least. Okay, it's a 64-bit. So that's the basic understanding about your system, right? So you got some idea about system. Any system, if you're new, you can run some commands and understand that what it is. All right, and yeah, that's what you have. Right, clear? Any questions on this? Good. Okay. Yeah. Anything? Just do interrupt me again. All right. So the next thing is going to be is I want to leave you first thing basically. So we can go with the so some commands basically so if I go into the system so and wherever I'm in doesn't really matter. If I just give ls command, okay, ls is a list of ls is a command which is the one of the command we you execute is the you execute most of the time, lot of times you will be executing ls command only. Because in Windows it's a graphical one, you double click, you open a folder, automatically it will display you all the files and folders inside that. But since it is a command line operating system, it cannot show you unless until you ask for it. You should ask for that. Okay, so that's where ls command is actually going to help you in ls command is actually going to help you in finding out the list of files out there, and you have these two files, and so yeah. And also ls, that means these are the not only the files, you can have more files also, but ls-A, which is going to show you the hidden files also. So in Windows also there is some hidden files, you have to choose some options to show the hidden files. All right, so but here you're going to use an option which is -A. So any command you take it, you will be having some options like this. All right, and ls-L, so probably it is going to give you the long list of output. So ls-L is going to show you, the properties basically. In Windows also you have view mode, right? So you change the view to icons, you change the view to list, you change the view to details, so that it will try to show you accordingly, right? So that's where I'll be getting the ls-L. Also you get the long list of output, and it is telling you what are the permissions you have, who is the owner, what is the size, what time it modified, so all the information it is trying to show you. All right, and you can also combine the options ls-A and L. So A is going to show you the hidden files, and at the same time L is going to show you the long list of output. Now you get all the hidden files in the long format. Okay, so that's the idea basically. That is the idea. All right, so any commands we take it, so we are going to get some kind of so options like this, and the options we are going to talk about is limited, what we need and generally used options for our course only. You'll always have more options, just keep in mind you'll always have more, and again so it's not a war like you prepare everything and you go there. Okay, it doesn't work that way. So based on the need you start learning the things. Okay, if you're looking for an option, ls-help, read the documentation, read the output and understand it, and do that. Okay, so that's what my suggestion is. Okay, everything you bag it also, end of the day it will be no use if you're not really using. Okay, so take the so liberty, and so do the things which is really needed only. Okay, you have to do that particular kind of judgment basically. All right, so cool. Also I mentioned like some self-exploring tasks for you, so probably there are some types of files in Linux. Probably you can find it out what are those files as well. Okay, so with this I would like to stop here, and I want to jump on to some other thing here. But yeah, so from the files and all, we can start in tomorrow's session. So creating some files, creating some directories. So how do you see the content inside the file? How do you add some content in the file? You know, we'll look into those options. But I want to take a pause here. Okay. So in the very first day, too many things will happen. It's little confusion. So just start feeling, you know, so take your time today, go into the Katacoda. Okay, let me ping the URL once again. I'm pinging the URL once again in the chat. If you have not actually, you know, so copied it, just copy it, and you know, so go ahead and play it out. So get some feeling, okay, so that you will, you know, get some confidence that you can also do the things right easily. And so yeah, so from there, so tomorrow we can move on. But before to that, again, before wrapping it up, I would like to. Okay, and every one of you know that. So here you're going to learn Amazon Linux, right? So you're going to learn, you're not Amazon, Amazon Web Services. Okay, so you're going to learn Amazon Web Services. Okay, AWS, and that's where. Okay, so every one of you should create the. AWS account. Okay, so you should create your own AWS account, and okay, so you'll be spending some amount on Amazon, okay, to complete this particular course. It's completely not free. Okay, so we just go beyond the free resources, and so that's where we need to you know, so spend actually some amount on Amazon. But how much at the max? Hardly, you know, so $10 at the max. So that means some 750 rupees from Indian people, like, yeah, for US people it's going to be like $10, not more than that, definitely not more than that. Even you can see my billing also, right? So let me go to my billing dashboard. So the previous batch, it's been almost like half sessions which are completed. So you can see the billing. So this is another account actually. Which account I'm seeing? Let me to go here. Yeah, you see here my bills of this particular batch are October. I paid hardly some $2 if I'm not wrong, $1.55. Okay, of the GST collected, it's close to like $2. And again in November also I'll be paying some around $4 or $5 at the max, and one more month it will be another $5. That's it. Okay, so nothing more than that, nothing more than that. I'll not spend any more amount apart from that. Okay, so it will be around $10 only, it will not go beyond. And you need to sign up for the Amazon account, right? So in order to sign it up, so you have the options given here. So you know to follow everything, just follow the sign up only. No, don't go for server creation and all. So just go with this. And so here there are some screenshots telling you how to do, what to do in Amazon sign up. Okay, just click on continue. It will tell you some options. Read through the document and just do the things. Okay, you know to really create a server basically. Okay, so server creation and all we'll talk after the couple of sessions, but make your account active or create your account. So because it takes a day or sometimes to activate your account, so just activate your account. And also while registering, it asks you to provide your credit card or debit card details. Just provide the details, don't worry. So there won't be any automatic charges also. Okay, so what you need to do is after signing up your account, so what you need to do is you have to go to your on the top you will be having your billing dashboard. And so here I'm using some billing preferences or payment methods on the left side. Go to the payment methods. So usually you'll be finding out a recurring payments option. So just untick this. So that means the payment will not happen automatically. Okay, so just untick this. I kept it ticked because I don't want to, you know, forget the things and paying the bill, but I just selected it automatically direct from my debit card. Okay, so that's the idea. All right, otherwise you can just untick that. Okay, so that's that much only you try to do. Don't go ahead and create some servers. We'll talk about that server creation and everything again in later sessions, but until then you just create that much. Okay, so I think that's all from my side for today's session. So I just gave you some introduction to the Linux, just to give you the feeling of Linux. So from tomorrow, we're going to start the full-fledged learning of the Linux topics. It's all about some commands end of the day. Yeah. Yeah. Someone saying something?
Hello, Raghu.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raghu, you send me one link now for creating AWS account from directly from AWS directly from site. You can create account. Is there any difference?
From site only you have to create. So here what you have is information of how to create an account. That's how to sign up. So I'm asking you can register a new account in the Amazon with the following URL. You have to open that. Okay. So continue. It's just telling you the information of what you need.
Okay. It is showing the information we have to follow like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hey Raghu.
Yes. Yeah. Nikhil.
So I have an Amazon account through work. Do I need the root credential
So
for
if
it?
you have admin permissions to create the things, that is fine.
Yeah. I have IAM user on which I have given admin.
Yeah. You can use that, no problem.
Okay.
So hopefully that is a test account. It's not a production account.
Yeah. Playground. Yeah. Test.
Yeah, playground is fine then. You can use that, no issues. If any one of you would have already learned some AWS training and all, if you have already your account, you can use that. Okay, but if it is so some, you will get some free resources if it is a new account basically. So some servers and all you'll get for free, but if it is already been some old account, so that means the free limits might have been completed and you might charge for everything. So things are there. Yeah.
Hello, Raghu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one doubt. Already I have AWS account. 1 year completed. Recently I terminated that account. So same credit details I will use for another account also. Same bank details. Previously what you
You
use,
can
no?
use. You can
Okay.
use, no problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone? Any other questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, spelled out.
Yeah.
In the CentOS, we are creating on a. You are saying that we are creating an application.
I
Hello.
never told data. I didn't told any application until now.
That means we are using the CentOS now.
CentOS
Hello.
operating system. Yeah.
CentOS operating system. Why can't we use this Windows operating system, sir?
Who uses Windows in the real time? The servers.
In the real time, so many people are using the Windows operating system now.
99.99999% is Linux, and that 0.0001 is Windows. Now, yeah, it's your decision, right? It's all Linux. Windows itself is shipping on Linux. Again, you know or you don't know. So Windows 10 already have Linux subsystem. So Windows 12 is completely shipping on Linux. Windows 12 operating system is already out, and they're claiming that it is 3x faster, and it's completely shipping on Linux. So yeah, Windows, forget about that. So some products are there, like Microsoft Windows also have some products, and so like let's say SQL database or some other products out there. Okay, they might be, yes, answer is yes. Okay, they might be using it, but again, so we always try to cover what is widely used in the market. Okay, so yeah, Linux is the widely used one, not the Windows. You got it? Okay. Anyone? Any other questions? I think one more silent batch. So try to ask questions so that it will become more interactive, I would say. Linux, there is no PDF actually, so you can go with the same link, whatever I mentioned, right? So the Katacoda link is having the list of commands. So yeah, you can get it from there. No PDFs. Yeah, Rahul. Rahul, you're saying something?
Raghu, I have a question. I'm Sukhdeep.
Yeah, Sudeep.
I just want to know, like, do you want us to go through some YouTube videos too for Linux?
Not
To get
really needed. Yeah, not really needed. So basically, just think through. What is needed. Basically, for my course, you're already getting it here. And when
right.
there is a need, yes, you go at that time. But upfront, you really no need to go there. No need to
Okay.
waste. Yeah.
But yeah, and in the meantime, if I have time, I can go. Right? It's not like
Yeah.
right.
So, but that's end of the day, it's no use, I'm saying, right? So if you're not using those options, there is no point in learning as well, right? So when there is a need, yeah, definitely go through that and not stop you. And also, I'm just telling you a judgment, you take it. So whether it is or invest the time something on another tool which will really help you rather than the Linux, right? So
Okay.
yeah, so that way you'll be more resourceful in the market than just learning Linux. So because Linux is outdated thing, basically, when I started my career in Linux administrator, I used to do everything. I used to so do manage the storage part, so something like attach storages using RAID devices and all. And the storage job came in picture, my job is gone. Okay, my role has been cut off. And after that, what came, like so I used to manage all these DNS servers, DHCP servers, all these servers also on the Linux side. As a Linux administrator, I used to maintain. But again, IT came in, IT people, it's more standard about the organization level, right? So they took my job and they went away because Linux has been started by Linux administrators, and slowly they evolved, and so they adopted the Linux, and that role also has been cut off from my side. And what next, basically? So probably this, so I used to do a lot of package management and things like that. Now after Red Hat itself has been introduced some remote repositories and things like that, like it's all simple that so that anyone can do in a very simple manner. Okay, so right. So and after that, what came in, like I need to install the machines, and I need to create the machines. So there is a virtual machine world came in, and my role has been even cut off. So those guys took my bread again. Okay, so and started a new job, which is virtual machines, VMware, or virtual guys basically, right? So all this way, Linux role has been, admin role has been cut off. Then that guys are really not doing anything. And in today's world, actually, we have a strategy called as, so almost from 3-4 years actually. So we are having a strategy where following it is immutable. Okay, immutable infrastructure. So what is immutable infrastructure is? So we are actually entering into immutable infrastructure world, refers to as servers and VMs that are never modified after the deployment. Okay, so that means you create the server with some configuration, and if you are, today world actually, if you're feeling that server is not really working, you scrap it and bring it up a new machine. There's no point of troubleshooting also is happening much on the on the current trend basically. Okay, you scrap and create everything, and it comes out of box, and everything comes as expected, right? So that's where like really Linux side, you don't need to really dig the things. But I'll not, again, it's not like every time scenario. So whenever is needed, yes, please at that time take the so take that judgment and you can look for those options. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. But in the job time, like when we will do the jobs, do we really need the Linux at that time?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So end of the day, you'll be working on the servers only. All the
right.
tools, everything runs on. End of the day, the goal reaches to all the roads lead to Rome. All the effort, it runs on Linux only. End of the day,
I
it
get
leads
it.
to Linux. Yeah,
So it's not bad, right? So I get it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. But again, I mean, I'm just telling you, right? So how do you utilize that time? So time is the most important thing, right? So you
Yeah.
invest it on the right side, you get the right outcome, rather than investing on the wrong place. That's my suggestion. But I'll again, at the same point, I'll never stop you in learning something as well. And you should be doing it. Either it is Linux or something else. Yeah.
Thanks, Raghu.
Yeah.
Hey, Raghu, will you be showing us an example of a pipeline
All will come.
automation
Yeah.
through automation?
Yeah. At one point, you'll get irritated also. This much pipeline, this much code. Okay. So I trust. I mean, I assure you on that basically. So we'll do all these kind of so Azure DevOps basically majorly. So we'll do dev environment setup, prod environment setup, so something like this. So we'll run through everything on the pipelines basically. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah, Venu.
Yeah. Hi, Raghu. This is
Yeah.
Venu. And
Yeah.
in a Linux vendor, why can't we use in Ubuntu? Is there any difference between Red Hat and Ubuntu?
Yeah, there is a distribution difference, right? So that means there are options, commands also will change, and both are GNU Linux only. So that means they are common at something, but different at vendor level. Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
simple as that. And so it's a two different operating systems, and the commands will be different. And why not Ubuntu is the same answer again. So CentOS is widely used than Ubuntu in the enterprise world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Ubuntu also is fine. Yeah, anything is okay. For our course, anything is fine. But I'm just picking it up because, yeah, it's widely used in the market. That's
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? Okay. All right. And no questions. Probably we can meet in tomorrow's session. By tomorrow, so try to get some, so hands-on onto that particular Linux basic commands in Katacoda through Katacoda. So, and the second thing is try to sign up. So your accounts might not be active for just in a day or two. I mean, just not immediately. Basically, it will get activated in a day or two. Don't get hurry. Okay, don't take the things little hurry. So let it take time, no problem. They will just resolve and provide you the account. Sometimes actually some details they'll be validating and they're providing it to you. That's it, nothing more than that. But you'll get it. Okay, so if you don't get it, just let me know. I'll show you some option, like so how to get it done. So then yeah, you can take care. All right, so I think that's all from my side. Any other questions? Final call.
Just wondering, the regular Amazon account will work?
Yeah, it will. If
It
you
will
have
work.
access to any account from your organization or your previous time, you can use that.
Okay.
No issues.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, not the Prime account. The
Oh, you
regular.
asked for Prime? Sorry, I overheard that.
No.
Regular Amazon account, normal.
The AWS, yeah.
Yeah, that works. All right. So thank you, and see you in tomorrow's session. Bye. Good day. Good night.